I'm Leyla Daybelge. I'm a trustee of the Isokon Gallery in Hampstead.
And I'm Magnus Englund. I'm also a trustee, and together we've written the book Isokon and the Bauhaus in Britain.
So not many people know that Agatha Christie lived in the Isokon Flats between 1941 and 1947. It was an incredibly prolific period for her. She worked around the clock. She had a day job working in the dispensary at University College Hospital, and then she came back to her tiny minimum flat, just 25 square metres, and she wrote sometimes 2 novels at the same time. She wrote the novel in which she kills off Poirot, which she locked away in a bank vault until the 1970s. She wrote the book which became the precursor for the Mousetrap, and she worked on a whole series of novels and turned some of her works into stage plays. So it was a very, very important period in her career.
But it is a surprising building to find Agatha Christie in, not least because of its style. It's a modernist building, reinforced concrete. It's grade 1 listed. There's only 2 grade 1 listed blocks in the whole of England. And there was a fascinating cohort of residents. Some of them were masters of the Bauhaus, including the founder of the Bauhaus, Walter Gropius. And then there were some spies, weren't there?
Yes, some very notorious Soviet spies operating in the building. In a way, this whole setup is rather like one of Agatha Christie's own novels. It's a closed community, a bit like the cruise liner on Death on the Nile, or the train on Murder on the Orient Express. We've got a really fascinating community of individuals, even rivaling some of the casts that Agatha Christie drew up for herself. We've got Soviet spies, we've got Bauhaus masters, we've got writers, architects. Most of them, though, are linked by left-wing politics. There are a lot of communists and socialists living in this building.
And the flat she lived in the first flat she lived in was 25 square meters. That's about 300 square feet. So it was a tiny flat. And then she moved into a second flat, which was little bit larger, but not much larger. And then for the last 2 years, she and Max lived in 2 flats that they were allowed to knock together, but they were only 25 square meters each. So she lived on 50 square meters, so certainly not a grand space for her. Why do you think she ended up in the building to start with?
It's a bit of a mystery, but I think she knew 2 people who lived in the building already. One of them was a young modernist architect. One of them was a young architect called Louis Osman, who had done some repairs on one of her previous homes. And the other was a really interesting Egyptologist, a professor of Egyptologists called Professor Stephen Glanville, who worked at University College London, and he'd helped her research some of her works set in Egypt. But financially, it was quite a difficult time for Agatha Christie because she had 8 properties in her portfolio at the time, and she had to pay quite a lot of money in war damage insurance, and she had a very big tax bill to sort out. So perhaps living in a small, compact flat with low living costs might have been quite an economic decision to make at the time.
We have some writing as well that she did at the time, describing her life in the building. She comments on the odd longchair, the Master Breuer plywood longchair, which she liked but found very odd looking. And she talks a lot about the closeness to nature, because right behind was a nature reserve. She likes the trees tapping on her windows. And she also talks about the community of the building. We know she spent time in the Iso bar downstairs, which was this tiny bar and restaurant that she enjoyed. But what did she do when the bombs fell? What did she put on her head?
Oh, it's really interesting. In her memoir, she talks about being in the building. It was advertised as the safest building in London during the war because of its reinforced concrete structure. It wasn't really, because the walls were just 4 inches thick. But there were a lot of bombs landing around the building in Hampstead, and she used to stay in her flat. Some of the residents went down and they danced through the Blitz in the Iso bar. She stayed in her flat. She put a pillow over her face, and she said that by her bed she kept her 2 most treasured possessions, her hot water bottle and her fur coat, and she was ready for any eventuality.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.